everybody, I'm Missi Matthews, and welcome to the Matchup Show presented by Unibet. Getting ready for Monday Night Football, the Chicago Bears visiting the Steelers at Heinz Field. I want to welcome in Matt Williamson of Steelers Nation Radio to break it all down for us. And Matt, of course, I want to start with Justin Fields, the rookie quarterback. Andy Dalton started the season. Now Fields is in, got a win last week against San Francisco. What do you make of his progression so far?
Yeah, I loved him coming out of Ohio State. I mean, he is immensely talented. I mean, his athleticism is the first thing you notice. He's a very physical runner, but he's fast. He's dynamic. He's got great body control. His accuracy at Ohio State at all levels was outstanding. That hasn't translated to the NFL so much, but I'm also a little worried from a Steelers perspective. He might be slowly turning a corner. And Matt Nagy wasn't involved last week. He ran the ball a lot more this past week. Leading up to that game, though, very few quarterback-designed runs. I didn't quite understand that logic. Their pass protection is worrisome, to say the least. I mean, an awful lot of sacks, which bodes well for the Steelers. They use a lot of tight ends on the field to help in that regard, but they don't leave them in protection, which is also a little curious. And I've noticed this with Ohio State guys, and it kind of translates to Dwayne Haskins as well. Ohio State's so talented that those quarterbacks can hold the ball a pulse longer in the pocket, wait for guys to get open. They don't have to anticipate their throws particularly well. And that's what Fields is learning. You know, the speed of the game, the anticipation it takes to throw. But I think he's going to get there at some point this season, hopefully not Monday night.
Defensive coordinator Keith Butler said today that he's more of a scramble guy. As you said, not a lot of the designed plays for him to run. But last week he had over 100 yards rushing. He threw a touchdown. He rushed for a touchdown. How did the Steelers stop him?
Yeah, fortunately, their offensive line doesn't protect very well. So I don't think the Steelers have to blitz heavy. The Steelers' blitz rate is really down from previous years, and they're still generating pressure. So that should allow them to, put a couple guys, Bush and Schobert, namely, not particularly as spies, but at least keeping eyes on him at a high percentage of the time. So I don't think you have to get super exotic, but you also can throw a lot of different packages at him because he hasn't seen it. So defending him doesn't really worry me schematically as much as more athletically. He might just outrun Schobert or Bush or whoever, or run over a safety. I mean, he can make a lot happen just with his traits.
You mentioned tight ends. Obviously, Jesse James, a familiar name for the Pittsburgh Steelers, scored a touchdown last week. What do you make of how they use their tight ends? And then also, where's their run game at, excluding Justin Fields?
Yeah, the run game is the strength of the team, and they generate a very high percentage of their yardage from the run game, an unusual amount for the NFL, to be honest with you. Part of it's because the passing game's struggling so much. Their offensive lines are better run blockers than they are in protection by a wide margin. They run a lot of outside zone, especially with the new rookie running back, Herbert, who I like an awful lot too. So the Steelers are going to have to maintain great discipline on those wide developing plays, those stretch runs. We heard a lot about gap integrity this past week. That's going to be at the forefront in this one. I think it'd be crazy if the Bears don't design more quarterback runs for Fields. I mentioned it's not to the degree we talked about last week with the Browns with tight end usage, but they're still near the top of the league in 2 and even 3 tight end sets. James is kind of the two-way guy, more of a blocker. Komet's a promising young second-round pick from a year ago. He's developing quickly, kind of in a Freiermuth mold, to be honest with you. And Jimmy Graham's the older statesman that doesn't prefer to block, prefers to catch touchdowns, to be honest with you. But it's not a real diverse offense. Again, it's a rookie quarterback, but it can present some problems.
All right, we'll talk about the other side of the ball, Matt. But first, here are our Week 9 opening lines across the league, presented by Unibet Sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you're in Pennsylvania and you're ready to place your wagers on any of this weekend's matchups, just download the Unibet PA app or simply visit pa.unibet.com. All right, Matt, give me one matchup that you are anxious to see, excited to see on Monday night at Heinz Field.
My favorite matchup are 2 really young developing stars. And I want Pittsburgh fans to pay attention to Roquan Smith. I mean, he was drafted linebacker, drafted in the top 10 the year before the Steelers used a top 10 pick on Devin Bush. And Smith, kind of like Bush, early in his career, his athleticism, his explosion really showed up, but he was learning his trade. I mean, these linebackers, and I'm referring to Bush, get thrown in right from the start, and they get manipulated with coverage and play action and things like that. And then this season, Roquan has become one of the best linebackers in the league. And maybe Bush will take that jump too in year 3, much like Smith did. And he's their best blitzer. He's accomplished in coverage, whether it's zone or man, great range, very explosive. And we know what Najee is. I mean, these two are going to tangle a lot, whether it's Najee picking him up in protection, certainly in routes, certainly when Najee gets the ball as a ball carrier. So those two are going to tangle a lot. And I think they both are really, really promising young players.
Najee Smith this morning, Matt, was named the NFL Offensive Rookie for the month of October. He joins Heath Miller and Ben Roethlisberger as the only Steelers to win that award. We've seen what he's been able to do each game, especially that Cleveland game. What do you like about Najee's game where it's at right now?
I love everything about it, to be honest with you. I had a little bit of concerns with him in protection coming out of Alabama. He's obviously worked on that technique. He's always had the desire and the physical traits to excel there. Few backs have that true workhorse mentality. You just keep giving me the ball. I'm going to get better as the game goes on. He certainly has it. He hasn't had a ton of running room this year, but he always creates more, which is fantastic. Gets what's blocked plus. Not a lot of backs in the league do that. Those of you that have been at practice a lot realize what he can be as a receiver, and we've seen glimpses of it, but I still think it's the tip of the iceberg. I mean, he's going to make one-handed catches over his head. Things like that are in his future that a lot of the fans haven't seen yet.
All right, lastly for you, we don't know if Khalil Mack is going to play on Monday night or not, but how does he change that Bears defense?
Drastically. I mean, it's a good defensive front. I mentioned Roquan Smith. Hicks is a good player in the middle, but Mack's the best of them all. I mean, he's not at that Myles Garrett, TJ Watt level anymore, but just below. I mean, he's had a phenomenal career, Hall of Fame career, in my opinion, and it's still a real problem as a pass rusher, but also against the run. I mean, he's a great player.
All right, it's time now to tell you about Pick and Win presented by Unibet. Each week, participants can answer a variety of trivia and predictive questions to earn points. The person with the most at the end of each week wins a prize, and the grand prize at the end of the season to the top points getter is a trip to the Pro Bowl in Las Vegas. It's free and easy to join. Just download the Steelers official mobile app, create a fan profile, and find the Pick and Win banner under the Fan Zone section. Matt, thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate you helping us preview and get ready for Monday Night Football. It feels like that's going to be forever away.
Yeah, you're right. But thank you. It was a blast as always.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the Matchup Show presented by Unibet. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend, everybody.
What's up, Steelers Nation? It's TJ Watt. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Steelers official YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on everything going on in the Steel City. Thank you for being the best fans in football. Here we go.